mortgage statement in my hands felt like ice against my fingertips, even though my apartment was stifling hot from having 4 adults crammed into a space meant for one. "Cassandra, honey, could you grab us some more coffee?" Mom called from the living room where she and Dad had claimed my couch as their permanent throne, "and maybe some of those cookies you picked up yesterday." I stared at the paper. $847,000. My name, my social security number, my signature. Except I'd never signed anything for $847,000 in my life. "My name is Cassandra, and 3 months ago I thought I was being a good daughter. My parents had lost their house, Dad's business went under, Mum's part-time job at the boutique disappeared when the store closed. When they showed up at my door with suitcases and tears, what was I supposed to do? Turn them away? So I gave them my bedroom and moved to the couch. I picked up extra shifts at the hospital, working doubles until my feet bled in my shoes. I smiled when Dad criticised my grocery choices and nodded when Mom rearranged my kitchen to be more efficient. "Cassandra!" Mom's voice had that edge now. "The coffee." "Coming," I managed, folding the mortgage statement and shoving it into my scrubs pocket. I walked to the kitchen on autopilot, my mind spinning. The return address was from Premier Home Loans. The property address was 1247 Ocean View Drive, one of those fancy neighbourhoods where houses had circular driveways and 3-car garages. "There's my hard-working girl," Dad said as I handed him his coffee. He was wearing the new polo shirt I'd bought him last week, looking more relaxed than I'd seen him in years. "You know, your mother and I were just talking about how proud we are of you, taking care of family like this." "It's what family does," I said automatically, the words I'd been programmed to say since childhood. Mom beamed at me from her spot on my couch, surrounded by the throw pillows she'd bought to brighten up the place. With my money, of course. That's our Cassandra, always putting family first. My phone buzzed. A text from my younger sister Laurel. "Can't wait for you to see the new place. Housewarming party next weekend." The coffee mug slipped from my hand, shattering against the hardwood floor. "Careful, sweetheart," Dad said, not moving to help clean up. "Good thing we got you those nice ceramic mugs. The cheap ones would have made such a mess." I knelt down, picking up pieces of broken ceramic while my mind raced. Laurel's new place. $847,000. My signature. "What new place?" I asked, trying to keep my voice casual. Mom and Dad exchanged a look, one of those quick, guilty glances that parents think kids don't notice. "Oh, you know Laurel," Mom said with forced lightness, "always moving around, trying new things." "She got a new apartment," another look between them. "Something like that," Dad said. "Nothing for you to worry about, honey. You've got enough on your plate." I stood up slowly, ceramic shards in my palm. "Where is it?" "Where's what?" Mum's voice pitched higher. "Laurel's new place." The silence stretched too long. Dad cleared his throat. "I think it's somewhere in Ocean View. Nice area." "Ocean View, 1247 Ocean View Drive." "That's expensive," I said carefully. "Well, you know how Laurel is," Mom said with a nervous laugh. "She's always been good with money, much better than us anyway." Good with money. Laurel, who'd never held a job for more than 6 months. Laurel, who'd called me crying just last year because she couldn't make rent. Laurel, who'd somehow managed to buy a house in one of the most expensive neighbourhoods in the city, with my name on the mortgage. I excused myself to the bathroom and pulled out the statement again. There it was, clear as day. My signature, but not quite right. The C in Cassandra had a little flourish I'd never made. The H in Hunt was too angular. Someone had practiced my signature. Someone had gotten very, very good at it. My hands were shaking as I took a picture of the document and texted it to my best friend Ronnie with a message. "Call me. Emergency." When I walked back into the living room, Mom and Dad were whispering urgently. They stopped the moment they saw me. "Everything okay, honey?" Mom asked, her smile too bright. I looked at them, really looked at them, at Dad in his new clothes, relaxed and comfortable in my space, at Mum with her fresh manicure and the expensive face cream she'd started using since moving in, at the way they'd settled into my life like they owned it. "Everything's perfect," I said. And for the first time in 3 months, I meant it, because now I knew exactly what kind of family I was dealing with. I waited until the next morning when Dad was reading his newspaper and Mom was doing her crossword puzzle. Both of them looked so comfortable, so settled in their routine of living off my dime. I dropped the mortgage statement on the coffee table between them. "Want to explain this?" Dad's newspaper crinkled as his hands tightened. Mum's pen froze mid-word. "What is it, honey?" Mum asked, but her voice was already shaky. "It's a mortgage statement for $847,000 with my name on it." I sat down across from them, keeping my voice level, "for a house I've never seen." The silence stretched until Dad finally folded his newspaper with deliberate precision. "Cassandra, sit down. Let us explain." "I am sitting down. We can explain everything," Mum jumped in, her words tumbling over each other. "It's not what it looks like. We were going to tell you." "When?" I cut her off. "When the first payment was due. When my credit was destroyed." "When?" Dad leaned forward, putting on his serious father voice. "Your sister needed help. You know how hard things have been for everyone. So you stole my identity." "We didn't steal anything," Dad said sharply. "We're family. Family helps family." "By forging my signature?" Mom's face crumpled. "We were desperate, Cassandra. Laurel was going to lose Peyton if she couldn't." "Bonnie," Dad's voice was a warning. But Mom kept going. "She said he'd never marry someone who couldn't even afford a decent place to live." She was crying every night, saying she'd lose the love of her life because we couldn't help her. "So you decided to help her with my money, my credit, my signature." "It's temporary," Dad said. "Laurel's going to pay it back. She's got that new job." "What new job? Last I heard she was between opportunities." Another guilty look between them. "She's figuring things out," Mom said weakly. I laughed, but there was no humour in it. "She's figuring things out with an $847,000 house." "The payments aren't that bad," Dad said, "and your credit is excellent. You'll barely notice." "I'll barely notice." I stood up so fast the coffee table shook. "I'll barely notice an extra $4,000 a month?" Mom gasped. "It's not 4,000 plus insurance, plus taxes, plus maintenance." I was pacing now, my voice getting louder. "Did you think I was stupid? Did you think I wouldn't find out?" "We were going to tell you," Dad said, "once everything was settled. Once what was settled, once you'd destroyed my financial future, once I was so deep in debt I could never dig out." "Don't be so dramatic," Dad snapped. "You're a nurse, you make good money, and it's not like you have any other expenses. No husband, no kids, no life, right? Just good old Cassandra, working herself to death to support everyone else." Mum started crying. "We raised you better than this. Family comes first, always." "Family comes first?" I turned on her. "Where was family when I was working 16-hour shifts to keep this roof over our heads? Where was family when I gave up my bedroom, my privacy, my savings?" "We've been grateful," Mom began. "Grateful enough to steal from me." "It's not stealing." Dad slammed his hand on the table. "You're our daughter. What's yours is ours, and what's ours is yours." "Really? So where's my mansion?" The front door opened, and Laurel walked in like she owned the place, which I realized she probably thought she did. "Hey, family!" She was glowing, practically bouncing. "I brought coffee for everyone," and she stopped when she saw our faces. "What's wrong?" I held up the mortgage statement. "Congratulations on your new house." Laurel's face went through several expressions. Surprise, guilt, defiance, and finally that smug smile I'd seen 1,000 times growing up. "Oh, you found out," she shrugged. "I was going to tell you at the housewarming party." "You were going to tell me that you stole my identity." "I didn't steal anything." Mum and Dad helped me get qualified for the loan. It's not like you were using your credit for anything important. Not using it for anything important. Come on, Cass. You live in this tiny apartment. You drive that old car. You never go anywhere or do anything. At least now your credit is helping someone who'll actually appreciate it. I stared at her, at all of them. Mum was still sniffling. Dad was glaring at me like I was the problem, and Laurel was examining her manicure like we were discussing the weather. "You're right," I said quietly. They all looked surprised. "I haven't been using my credit for anything important. I've been too busy taking care of everyone else." I smiled, and something in my expression made Dad shift uncomfortably. But that's about to change. I walked to my bedroom, the one that used to be mine, and retrieved the small voice recorder I'd hidden in the closet weeks ago. The one I'd been using to document every conversation, every admission, every casual mention of their plans. "Excuse me," I said, still smiling. "I have some phone calls to make." I locked my bedroom door and spread the voice recorder files across my laptop screen. 3 weeks of recordings, 3 weeks of conversations I'd suspected were happening but never wanted to believe. My phone buzzed. Ronnie. "What the hell is that mortgage statement?" she said without preamble. "They forged my signature, all of them, for Laurel's house." "Jesus Christ, Cass, please tell me you're calling the police." "I'm calling you first." "Why? Call the cops, call the FBI, call someone with a badge and a gun." I clicked on the first recording. "I need you to hear something first." The audio was crystal clear. Dad's voice. "Try it again. The C needs more of a loop. Cassandra always makes her C with that little loop." Then Mom. "Like this. Better now the H in Hunt. See how she makes it? More vertical lines. This feels wrong, Patrick." "It's not wrong. It's family. Cassandra would do this herself if she understood how important it is for Laurel." Ronnie was quiet for a long moment. "Holy shit. They practiced forging your signature." "There's more." I clicked the next file. Laurel's voice bright and excited. "Did you see Peyton's face when I showed him the house? He's already talking about setting a date. This is perfect." "Mum, I just wish we didn't have to use Cassandra's..." "Use what? Her credit that's just sitting there doing nothing? Come on, Mom. She's never going to buy a house. She's never going to get married. At least this way her good credit is helping someone." "Dad, Laurel's right. Cassandra's always been the practical one. She'll understand." "Understand what? That you're stealing from me?" Ronnie's voice was tight with anger. "How long have you been recording them?" "Since the second week they moved in. I had this feeling..." I clicked another file. "Listen to this one." The audio was from last week. Dad again. "The bank called. They want to verify some information." Mum. "What kind of information?" "Employment verification for Cassandra. I told them she was working extra shifts and couldn't come to the phone." Laurel. "What if they want to talk to her directly?" Dad. "They won't. I've been handling all the paperwork. As far as they know, Cassandra is just busy with work. They impersonated me to the bank," I told Ronnie. "This is fraud. Multiple felonies. You have them dead to rights. But they're my family. They're criminals who happen to share your DNA." I clicked on the most recent recording from yesterday morning before I confronted them. Mum's voice. "I feel terrible about this. What if Cassandra finds out?" Dad. "She won't. And even if she does, what's she going to do? Turn in her own parents?" Laurel. "Exactly. Cassandra's too much of a pushover to do anything. She'll complain and cry, but she'll get over it. She always does." "She always does," I repeated to Ronnie. "Not this time. But what if..." "No," Ronnie's voice was firm. "No what ifs. They stole your identity. They committed fraud. They're destroying your financial future for your spoiled sister's mansion. And they're counting on you being too weak to stop them." I heard voices in the living room. They were talking about me. "Hold on," I told Ronnie and crept to the door. "She's just upset," Mum was saying. "She'll calm down." "She better," Dad replied. "We can't have her making trouble over this. The closing is next week." The closing is next week. Laurel sounded panicked. What if she tries to stop it? She won't, Dad said confidently. Cassandra's never stood up to us in her life. She's not going to start now. I put the phone back to my ear. Did you hear that? Every word. They're closing next week and they're betting you won't fight back. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should just... Just what? Let them ruin your life. Cass, listen to me. I've seen what identity theft does to people. It takes years to recover from. Years. And they're not planning to pay this back. They're planning to stick you with the bill while your sister plays house. I clicked on one more file. This one made my blood run cold. Dad's voice. If Cassandra becomes a problem, we'll figure something out. Maybe she needs to move out. Find her own place. Mum. But where would she go? Not our problem. We raised her, fed her, put a roof over her head for 18 years. She owes us, Laurel. Besides, she makes good money. She can afford her own place. Probably better for everyone if she's not here cramping our style. They're planning to kick me out, I whispered to Ronnie, out of my own apartment, after they've destroyed your credit and stuck you with a mortgage you can't afford. I trusted them. I know, but trust is a two-way street, and they've been driving the wrong way for months. I looked around my bedroom, the room I'd given up, in the apartment I'd worked so hard to afford, surrounded by the life I'd built that they were systematically destroying. What do? You fight back. You take those recordings to the police, to the bank, to whoever will listen. You show them that Cassandra Hunt is not the pushover they think she is. And if it destroys my family, Cass, they destroyed your family the moment they decided to steal from you. You're just deciding whether to let them get away with it. I saved all the audio files to a secure folder and started making copies. You're right, I said. It's time to stop being the family doormat. Now you're talking. What's your first move? I smiled, and for the first time in weeks, it felt genuine. I'm going to make some very interesting phone calls. The bank's fraud department was located on the 3rd floor of a gleaming downtown building. I sat across from Jose Cox, a senior investigator with kind eyes and a no-nonsense demeanour. Ms. Hunt, I've reviewed the preliminary information you provided over the phone, Jose said, spreading my documents across his desk. This is quite serious. I have recordings, I said, pulling out my phone, of them practicing my signature, of them admitting to the fraud. Jose's eyebrows shot up. You recorded them? I had a feeling something was wrong. I've been documenting everything for weeks. I played him the signature practice recording first. Jose's expression grew darker with each word. This is clear evidence of forgery and identity theft, he said. How long have they been living with you? 3 months. They lost their house and I felt sorry for them. And they repaid your kindness by stealing your identity. My sister needed a house to impress her fiancé. Apparently, my credit was just sitting there doing nothing. Jose shook his head. We see this more often than you'd think. Family members assuming they have the right to use each other's financial information. He made notes on his pad. I'm going to start an immediate investigation. We'll need to freeze any accounts associated with this mortgage. What does that mean for the closing? There won't be a closing, not until we sort this out. My phone buzzed with a text from Mum. Where are you? We need to talk. I showed Jose the message. They're getting nervous. Good, they should be. He handed me a business card. Don't discuss this investigation with them. Don't let on that you've been here. Can you do that? I can try. One more thing. Do you have somewhere safe to stay? Sometimes these situations escalate when family members realize they're facing legal consequences. I thought about my tiny apartment, about Dad's temper, about how trapped I'd felt for months. I'll figure something out. When I got home, the atmosphere was thick with tension. Mum was pacing, Dad was on his phone, and Laurel was nowhere to be seen. There you are, Mum said, rushing over. We've been trying to reach you all day. I was at work. No, you weren't, Dad said, ending his call. I called the hospital. You weren't scheduled today. I had errands. What kind of errands? Mum's voice was shrill. Personal ones. Dad stepped closer. Cassandra, we need to know where you went. This is important. Why? Because... Mum looked at Dad helplessly. Because there's been a problem with Laurel's loan, Dad said finally. Some kind of mix-up at the bank. What kind of mix-up? They're asking questions, wanting to verify information. Dad's eyes were hard. You didn't talk to anyone, did you? Talk to anyone about what? About the house, about the loan. I looked between them, these people who'd raised me, who'd taught me that family came first, who were now terrified that their crimes might catch up with them. Why would I talk to anyone about a loan I didn't know existed? Relief flooded Mum's face. Of course, you wouldn't. We're just worried, that's all. Worried about what? About misunderstandings, Dad said carefully. Sometimes banks make mistakes, and we don't want this to affect Laurel's future. Or yours, I said quietly. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing. I'm just tired. My phone rang. Laurel. Answer it, Dad commanded. I put it on speaker. Hey, Laurel. Cass, thank God. The bank called. They're postponing the closing. Something about needing additional verification. Her voice was panicked. You didn't say anything to anyone, did you? Say anything about what? About the loan. About Mom and Dad helping me. I didn't know Mom and Dad were helping you until yesterday. Good, that's good. She sounded like she was hyperventilating. Because if anyone asks, you were totally on board with this. You wanted to help your sister, right? I looked at my parents, both staring at me with desperate eyes. Right, Cass, Laurel pressed. I always want to help family, I said, which was technically true. See, Dad said after I hung up, this is just a temporary setback. Banks are paranoid these days. Maybe you should call them, Mom suggested. Explain that you're fine with the loan. Maybe I should. Really? Hope crept into her voice. Sure, I'll call them first thing tomorrow. Dad clapped me on the shoulder. That's my girl. I knew you'd come through for family. Family first, right? Always. That evening, Laurel showed up with takeout and champagne. I know things got a little heated yesterday, she said, setting bags on the counter, but I wanted to celebrate. Even with the delay, we're going to be neighbours soon. Well, sort of neighbours. Ocean View is only 20 minutes away. How thoughtful. And I got you something. She handed me a small wrapped box. An early housewarming gift. For when you come visit. Inside was a keychain with a tiny house charm. It's beautiful. I had it engraved. She turned it over. Best sister ever. Best sister ever, I repeated. Because you are. I know I don't say it enough, but you really are the best. Always putting family first, always sacrificing for us. She hugged me tight. I'm so lucky to have you. I'm lucky to have you too. Over dinner, they regaled me with stories about the house, the marble countertops, the walk-in closets, the 3-car garage. You should see the master bathroom, Laurel gushed. It has a soaking tub and a separate shower with rainfall shower heads. Sounds expensive. Worth every penny, Dad said. Laurel deserves the best. She certainly does. After they went to bed, I sat in my kitchen with the keychain, turning it over in my hands. Best sister ever. I took a photo of it and texted it to Ronnie with a message. Guess what I got for helping destroy my own credit? Her response was immediate. Are you kidding me right now? Nope. Also, they want me to call the bank tomorrow to explain that I'm fine with the loan. Please tell me you're not actually considering that. Oh, I'm definitely calling the bank tomorrow. Good. Wait, why do I feel like there's more to this? I smiled, looking at the keychain one more time before dropping it in the trash. Because tomorrow, Laurel finds out what best sister ever really means. Laurel's engagement party was everything I'd expected. Overpriced catering, rented crystal, and enough flowers to stock a funeral home. The venue was some trendy rooftop place downtown that probably cost more than I made in 2 months. Cassandra! Peyton appeared at my elbow, looking genuinely happy to see me. I'm so glad you came. Laurel wasn't sure you'd make it. Wouldn't miss it for the world. She's been so stressed about the house situation. Some mix-up with the bank." He lowered his voice. "Between you and me, I think she bit off more than she can chew with that place. It's massive. You've seen it. Just the photos. 8 bedrooms, 6 bathrooms, that infinity pool." He shook his head. "I keep asking her how she qualified for that kind of mortgage on her salary, but she just says her family helped. Her family's very supportive. That's what she says, though I have to admit, I'm a little confused about the whole arrangement." Before I could respond, Laurel materialized in a cloud of expensive perfume and champagne bubbles. "Cass, you made it!" She air-kissed both my cheeks. "Isn't this amazing? Peyton's parents flew in from Seattle. His whole family is here. It's beautiful. Come on, I want you to meet everyone." She grabbed my arm. "This is my sister Cassandra. She's a nurse. She's been taking care of our parents since they fell on hard times. Isn't she just the sweetest?" The next hour was a parade of introductions and small talk. I smiled and nodded and played the role of the devoted sister while my phone recorded everything from my purse. "Cassandra's been such a lifesaver," Mom gushed to a group of Peyton's relatives. "When we lost our house, she immediately took us in, gave us her own bedroom." "How generous," Peyton's mother said. "She's always been the giver in the family," Dad added. "Never thinks of herself. Just last week she was saying how happy she was that we could help Laurel with her house." "Oh, that's wonderful. Family helping family." "Exactly," Dad beamed. "Cassandra's credit was just sitting there unused, so we figured why not put it to good use." Peyton's mother looked confused. "Her credit?" "Well, you know how these things work," Dad said quickly. "Family finances, everyone pitching in where they can." I excused myself to the bathroom, my phone burning a hole in my purse. In the mirror, I looked like someone playing dress-up, wearing a cocktail dress I'd bought for the occasion, smiling a smile that didn't reach my eyes. The bathroom door opened and Mom slipped in. "Cassandra, honey, we need to talk." "About what?" "About what you said to the bank today." I'd called Jose that morning to confirm the investigation was proceeding. "I didn't say anything to the bank. Don't lie to me. They called this afternoon. They're freezing the loan pending some kind of investigation." "That sounds serious." "It is serious." Mom's voice cracked. "They're asking about forged signatures. About identity theft." "Identity theft? That's terrible. Cassandra, please, I know you're upset, but this will destroy us. All of us. How will it destroy you? If this goes to court, if there are criminal charges..." She started crying. "Your father could go to prison. I could go to prison. Is that what you want?" "What I want is for my family to stop stealing from me." "We weren't stealing. We were borrowing. Laurel was going to pay it back." "With what money? Her non-existent job. She'll figure something out. She always does." "Like she figured out how to forge my signature." Mom's face went white. "How did you..." "I know everything, Mom. I've known for weeks." The bathroom door burst open and Laurel stormed in, her face flushed with anger and champagne. "What did you do?" she hissed. "I protected myself." "You ruined everything. Peyton's family is here. Everyone's asking questions, and now the bank is treating me like a criminal." "Aren't you?" She slapped me, hard. The sound echoed off the bathroom tiles. 29 years, she spat. 29 years I've had to live in your shadow. Perfect Cassandra, responsible Cassandra, everyone's favourite daughter. Well, guess what? I finally found something I was better at than you. Identity theft? Getting what I deserve. That house, that life, Peyton. I earned all of it. And you're trying to take it away because you're jealous. I'm trying to take back what you stole. I didn't steal anything that you were using. You live like a nun, Cass. No boyfriend, no social life, no ambition beyond your little nursing job. At least I had dreams. Dreams that required destroying my credit. Your credit was wasted on you anyway. Mum stepped between us. "Girls, please, people will hear." "Let them hear," Laurel said. "Let everyone know what kind of sister Cassandra really is. The kind who destroys her own family over money. The kind who won't let her family destroy her over money." "It's too late," Laurel said, her voice dropping to a whisper. "Even if you stop the house, even if you send Mom and Dad to prison, you'll never have a family again. Is that worth it?" I looked at both of them, Mom with her tears and manipulation, Laurel with her rage and entitlement. These people who'd raised me to believe that family meant sacrifice, that love meant giving until it hurt. "Yes," I said quietly. "It's worth it." I walked out of the bathroom and straight to Peyton, who was standing by the bar looking confused and concerned. "Peyton, can I talk to you privately?" "Of course. Is everything okay?" Laurel seemed upset. I led him to a quiet corner of the rooftop. "I need to tell you something about the house." "What about it?" "It's not what you think. The mortgage isn't in Laurel's name." His face went pale. "What do you mean?" "It's in mine. They forged my signature and used my credit without my permission." That's impossible. Laurel wouldn't." "She would, and she did, and now she's facing fraud charges." Peyton stared at me for a long moment. "You're serious?" "Completely serious." "But why would she—" "Because she wanted to impress you. Because she thought you'd leave her if she couldn't afford the lifestyle you're used to." "That's insane. I don't care about money." "She does." He ran his hands through his hair. "This explains so much. The evasive answers, the way she changed the subject whenever I asked about finances." "I'm sorry to ruin your party." "You didn't ruin anything. You probably saved me from making the biggest mistake of my life." Across the room I saw Laurel watching us, her face a mask of fury and desperation. She started walking toward us, but Dad caught her arm, pulling her back. "What happens now?" Peyton asked. "Now the truth comes out," I said. "And everyone faces the consequences of their choices, including you." I thought about my empty apartment, my destroyed family, my uncertain future. "Especially me." The call came at 6 a.m. on Tuesday. Jose from the bank. "Ms. Hunt, we've completed our preliminary forensic analysis. The signature discrepancies are conclusive, and the audio recordings you provided corroborate everything. We're moving forward with criminal referrals." "Criminal referrals?" "Identity theft, fraud, forgery. The district attorney's office will be in touch. I wanted to give you a heads up before—" My apartment door exploded open. Dad stormed in, still in his pajamas, his face purple with rage. "What did you do?" he roared. I held up a finger to Jose. "I'll call you back." "Don't you dare hang up on me," Dad snarled, lunging for my phone. I stepped back. "Get out of my apartment. This is our home too." "No, it's not. It's my apartment that I've been letting you stay in, and now I'm asking you to leave." Mum appeared in the doorway, clutching her robe. "Cassandra, please. The police called. They want to talk to us." "Good. You should talk to them." "How could you do this to your own family?" Dad's voice cracked. "We raised you. We loved you. We sacrificed everything for you." "You sacrificed everything for Laurel. I was just the bank account." "That's not true." "Isn't it? When's the last time you asked how I was doing? When's the last time you cared about my dreams, my future, my happiness?" "We care. You care about what I can provide. My apartment, my money, my credit. But you've never cared about me." Mum started sobbing. "We love you, Cassandra. You're our daughter." "Then why did you steal from me?" "We were desperate. We made a mistake. You made a choice, multiple choices, for months." Dad stepped closer, his voice dropping to that dangerous tone I remembered from childhood. "You think you're so smart, don't you? Recording us, running to the bank like some kind of victim." "I am a victim. You're a spoiled brat who can't stand to see her sister happy. Her sister who stole my identity to buy a mansion. A mansion she deserved. Laurel has potential. She has dreams. She could have made something of herself if you hadn't sabotaged her. I didn't sabotage anything. I protected myself. You destroyed this family. No, Dad. You destroyed this family the moment you decided to forge my signature. My phone rang. Ronnie. Don't answer that, Dad warned. I answered it anyway. Hey, Ronnie. Cass, are you okay? I just heard... I'm fine. My parents are here having a discussion about consequences. Do you need me to come over? Dad grabbed for the phone again. I dodged him. Maybe. I'll call you back. If I don't hear from you in 10 minutes, I'm calling the cops. I hung up and faced my parents. You need to leave. Now. We're not going anywhere, Dad said. This is our home. No, it's not. And if you don't leave voluntarily, I'll call the police and have you removed. You wouldn't dare. I started dialing 911. Wait. Mum grabbed Dad's arm. Patrick, let's just go. Let's pack our things and find somewhere else to stay. We're not running away because our ungrateful daughter. We're leaving because we need to figure out what to do next. Mom's voice was firm. Fighting with Cassandra isn't going to help anything. Dad stared at me with pure hatred. This isn't over. Yes, it is. You think you've won something. You think destroying your family makes you strong. I think protecting myself makes me smart. You'll regret this. When you're old and alone, when you have nobody left who cares about you, you'll remember this moment. I'll remember the moment I finally stood up for myself. They packed in angry silence, throwing clothes into suitcases while muttering about betrayal and ingratitude. I sat at my kitchen table watching them dismantle the life they'd built in my space. Where will you go? I asked Mom as she folded her clothes. Your Aunt Linda's probably, until we figure things out. What about the legal stuff? We'll get a lawyer, fight the charges. With what money? She didn't answer. Laurel arrived as they were loading the last suitcase into Dad's car. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. Cass, we need to talk. I don't think we do. Please, 5 minutes. I followed her to the parking lot where my parents were waiting by their car. I talked to Peyton, she said without preamble. Good. He broke up with me. I'm sorry. No, you're not. Her voice was flat, emotionless. You're glad. You've always been jealous of me. I've never been jealous of you, Laurel. I've been tired of cleaning up your messes. This wasn't a mess. This was my chance at happiness. Built on fraud. Built on family helping family. Family doesn't steal from each other. She laughed bitterly. Family doesn't destroy each other either, but here we are. You destroyed yourself. I destroyed myself? You're the one who went to the police. You're the one who committed crimes. For love. I did it for love. You did it for money and status and because you thought you deserved something you hadn't earned. And what do you deserve, Cass? What has all your righteousness gotten you? I looked around at my parents glaring at me from their car, at my sister who'd never take responsibility for her actions, at the wreckage of relationships I'd spent my whole life trying to preserve. Peace, I said finally. It's gotten me peace. Enjoy your peace, Laurel said. Enjoy it all alone. They drove away without looking back. I stood in the parking lot for a long time, watching their taillights disappear into traffic. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This is Patrick. You've made a terrible mistake. We'll be in touch. I screenshotted the message and forwarded it to Jose and Ronnie. Then I went upstairs to my apartment, my quiet, empty, peaceful apartment, and started planning my new life. A life where I came first, for once. The confrontation came 3 days later at the hospital. I was coming off a 12-hour shift when I saw Dad waiting by my car in the parking garage. We need to talk, he said, stepping out of the shadows. I have nothing to say to you. Well, I have plenty to say to you, his voice echoed off the concrete walls. You want to play hardball? Fine, let's play. I kept walking toward my car, keys ready. Move away from my vehicle. Or what? You'll call the cops? Add harassment to the list of charges against your dear old dad? If I have to. He laughed, but there was no humour in it. You know what's funny? I actually thought you had some backbone for once. Turns out you're just vindictive. I'm protecting myself. You're destroying innocent people. Innocent? I stopped walking. You forged my signature. You stole my identity. You committed multiple felonies. What part of that is innocent? The part where we did it for family. You did it for Laurel. You've always done everything for Laurel. Because Laurel has potential. Laurel could have made something of herself. And I couldn't. Look at you, Cassandra. 30 years old, no husband, no kids, living in a shoebox apartment, working a job that barely pays the bills. What kind of life is that? It's my life, and it was fine until you decided to steal it. We were trying to help you have a purpose, give your life meaning, by destroying my credit and sticking me with debt I can't afford. By making you part of something bigger than yourself. I stared at him. You really believe that, don't you? You actually think you were doing me a favour. I think we were being a family, but you wouldn't understand that. You've always been selfish. Selfish? I gave you my bedroom. I worked extra shifts to pay for your food, your clothes, your comfort. I sacrificed everything for you, and we were grateful. But gratitude doesn't pay for Laurel's future. Neither does identity theft. It would have if you hadn't interfered. My phone rang. Jose from the bank. Don't answer that, Dad warned. I answered it anyway. Hi, Jose. Ms. Hunt, I'm calling to let you know that law enforcement is ready to make arrests. They'll be moving forward tomorrow morning. Dad stepped closer, trying to hear the conversation. That's good news, I said. There's something else. Your father has been calling the bank, claiming you're mentally unstable and that the recordings were fabricated. He what? He's trying to discredit your testimony. He's also claiming that you gave permission for the loan and are now having regrets. Dad was close enough now to hear Jose's voice. That's interesting, I said, because I have him on recording making those exact claims. Dad's face went white. You're recording this conversation? Jose asked. I'm recording everything now for my own protection. Smart. I'll make sure the investigators know about these latest developments. I hung up and looked at Dad. Mentally unstable? Really? You are unstable. Look what you're doing to your own family. I'm holding my family accountable for their crimes. We're not criminals, Cassandra. We're desperate parents who made a mistake. A mistake that you've been covering up and lying about for months. Because we knew you'd overreact, just like you're doing now. Overreact. You stole my identity. We used your credit to help your sister. There's a difference. Not legally, there isn't. Legally doesn't matter. Family matters. Blood matters. Then why didn't my blood matter when you were forging my signature? He stepped even closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. You want to know why? Because you're not really family, Cassandra. You're just the responsible one. The one who pays the bills and cleans up the messes and never asks for anything in return. You're right, I never asked for anything, but I'm asking now. Asking for what? Justice. Justice? He laughed. You want justice? Fine. But remember this conversation when you're sitting alone in your empty apartment, wondering why nobody loves you anymore. At least I'll know they never really loved me to begin with. We did love you. We do love you. No, you love what I could provide. There's a difference. A security guard appeared at the end of the parking garage. Everything okay here? Fine, Dad called out. Just a family discussion. The guard looked at me. Mom? Actually, no. This man is harassing me. I'd like him to leave. Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to move along. Dad stared at me with pure hatred. This isn't over, Cassandra. Yes, it is. You think the police scare me? You think a few charges will stop me from protecting my family? I think you should be more worried about protecting yourself. From what? I held up my phone, still recording. From yourself. The security guard stepped forward. Sir, you need to leave now. Dad looked between me and the guard. His hands clenched into fists. For a moment I thought he might actually hit me. Instead, he leaned close and whispered, "You'll regret this for the rest of your life." "The only thing I regret is waiting so long to stand up to you." He walked away without another word, his footsteps echoing through the garage. The security guard waited until Dad's car disappeared before turning to me. "You want me to file a report?" "No, but thank you, I've got everything documented." "You sure you're safe?" I looked at my phone, at the recording that would be evidence, at the trail of documentation I'd been building for weeks. "I'm sure." But as I drove home, I couldn't shake the feeling that Dad was right about one thing. This wasn't over. Not yet. The arrests happened on a Thursday morning. I was at work when Ronnie called. "It's done," she said. "They picked up your parents at your aunt's house an hour ago." Laurel turned herself in with a lawyer. I sat down heavily in the break room chair. "How do you know all this?" "Jose called me. Figured you'd want to hear it from a friend first." "What are the charges?" "Identity theft, fraud, forgery, conspiracy. Your dad's looking at the most time since he was the ringleader." My supervisor, Fatima, poked her head into the break room. "Cassandra, there's someone here to see you." I followed her to the lobby where Peyton was waiting, looking exhausted and older than his 36 years. "I'm sorry to bother you at work," he said. "I just wanted to thank you." "Thank me?" "For telling me the truth. I know it couldn't have been easy." "It wasn't." "I've been thinking about what you said, about Laurel thinking I'd leave her if she couldn't afford the right lifestyle." He shook his head. "The crazy thing is, I would have married her in a cardboard box. I loved her." Loved? Past tense. Hard to love someone when you realise they're willing to destroy their own sister for a house. "I'm sorry it ended this way." "I'm not. Better to find out now than after we were married." He handed me an envelope. "This is for you." "What is it?" "Laurel asked me to give it to you. She wrote it before she turned herself in." I took the envelope but didn't open it. "How is she?" "Scared, angry, still blaming everyone but herself." He paused. "She keeps saying you'll forgive her eventually. That family always forgives family." "She's wrong." "I figured. That's why I wanted to thank you. You saved me from a lifetime of being married to someone who thinks love means never facing consequences." After he left, I sat in my car and opened Laurel's letter. "Cass, I know you hate me right now, but I need you to understand something. I never meant for it to go this far. When Mom and Dad first suggested using your credit, I said no. But then Peyton started talking about the future, about the kind of life he wanted, and I panicked. I've always been the pretty one, the fun one, the one everyone liked better. But you were the smart one, the responsible one, the one who had her life together. For once, I wanted to be the successful one too. I know that doesn't excuse what we did. I know sorry doesn't fix your credit or give you back the money or undo the betrayal. But I am sorry, Cass. I'm sorry I was so selfish. I'm sorry I let Mom and Dad convince me that you owed us this. I'm sorry I never appreciated everything you sacrificed for our family. I don't expect you to forgive me. I probably wouldn't forgive me either. But I wanted you to know that losing you hurts worse than losing the house, worse than losing Peyton, worse than facing jail time. You were the best sister I never deserved. Laurel." I folded the letter and put it back in the envelope. Then I drove to the police station. Detective Martinez was handling the case. She was a no-nonsense woman in her 40s who looked like she'd seen every kind of family drama imaginable. "Ms. Hunt, good to see you. We have everything we need for prosecution thanks to your recordings." "What kind of sentences are they looking at? Your father could get 5 to 7 years. Your mother, maybe 3 to 5 since she was more of a follower. Your sister might get probation and restitution since she cooperated. And my credit? The bank is working on restoration. It'll take time, but you won't be responsible for the fraudulent debt. What about the house? Foreclosure proceedings have already started. Any equity will go toward restitution, but there won't be much after legal fees. I nodded. There's something else. I want to make a victim impact statement. Of course, the sentencing hearing is in 6 weeks. I'll be there. The courtroom was packed on sentencing day. Aunt Linda was there, some cousins I barely knew, a few family friends. They all looked at me like I was the villain in this story. When it was my turn to speak, I walked to the podium and looked at my parents sitting at the defendant's table. Dad stared straight ahead, refusing to meet my eyes. Mum was crying silently. Your Honour, for 30 years, I believed that family meant sacrifice, that love meant giving, until it hurt. That being a good daughter meant putting everyone else's needs before my own. I looked at Laurel in the gallery. She was crying too. I worked double shifts to support my parents when they lost their home. I gave up my bedroom, my privacy, my savings. I did it gladly because I thought that's what family meant. Dad finally looked at me, his expression unreadable. But family isn't supposed to steal from each other. Love isn't supposed to destroy the person who gives it. And sacrifice isn't supposed to be one-sided. Mum's crying got louder. The defendants didn't just steal my identity. They stole my trust, my sense of security, my belief in the people who raised me. They gambled with my future for my sister's mansion. I took a breath. I don't want revenge, Your Honour. I want accountability. I want them to understand that actions have consequences, even when they're committed by family, especially when they're committed by family. I sat down. The judge sentenced Dad to 4 years, Mum to 2 years suspended with probation, and Laurel to community service and restitution. As they led Dad away in handcuffs, he finally looked at me. I hope it was worth it, he said. It was, I replied. Outside the courthouse, Ronnie was waiting. How do you feel? She asked. Free. Any regrets? I thought about the letter in my purse, about the family I'd lost, about the years of manipulation and guilt that were finally over. Just one. What's that? That it took me 30 years to realise I was worth protecting. We walked to her car together, leaving the courthouse and my old life behind. So, what now? Ronnie asked. Now I figure out who I am when I'm not busy being everyone else's doormat. Any ideas? I smiled, feeling lighter than I had in years. I'm thinking I might start with getting my bedroom back. For the first time in my life, I was putting myself first, and it felt amazing,